on to what's trending, which centers in on, yes, the coaching search at BYU, which is changing by the moment.
We'll get to that. There's stuff hot and heavy going on.
But we
right
know
now.
something for sure that is out. And this courtesy of now former BYU basketball commit Collin Chandler.
Oh, that one hurts.
Who, as of this morning, has announced that he has been released from his national letter of intent with BYU.
Did we have to release?
No, it's void after 12 months, I'm pretty sure, once you're a missionary.
No,
but regardless, they used that verbiage. The NLI is now done at BYU. And he is joining Mark Pope at the University of Kentucky. So once again, Eric Mika will remain the lone highest-rated recruit out of high school to ever play at BYU. Chandler is not in the mix. Jarom, your immediate reaction to the official news that Collin Chandler is now following Mark Pope to Kentucky?
Gut punch. Thought that this might be possible, Spence. Certainly disappointing. We've waited a long time for Collin to get to BYU, one of the highest profile and signings BYU's ever had in men's basketball. A guy that BYU convinced to not go a bunch of other places. And we're really looking forward to what he'd do at BYU. And hopefully he could have been so good he was one and done, or maybe two and done into the NBA. But not having Collin really hurts. Losing Mark is a big deal. Losing Collin really hurts, as Mark takes Collin. Not shocking that Collin would be interested and or go to Kentucky, but initially it's a gut punch because there are only so many dudes that are members of the church who want to come to BYU, who sign here, who could play here and be big time.
Who are top 30 national recruits.
How many times have we had that? It's like Collin and Eric Mika, basically. We were disappointed when Chris Burgess didn't pick BYU back in the day, and Roger Reed famously said, hey, disappointed 13 million Mormons. They've since made up. We're good on that. But this one hurts, man. It's weird to see that Kentucky logo on Collin Chandler right there. It's really weird, and that one hurts, man.
He's not even home from his mission. I think he returns
in home in
2
about
weeks.
2-ish weeks, yeah.
And then
2 or 3
off
weeks.
to Lexington as a freshly returned missionary to join Mark Pope.
And they finally got a high-profile recruit at Kentucky. Oh, wait. They're swimming in these guys.
That's what hurts.
We don't get these guys.
That's what hurts the most is he's just another 4-star at BYU.
They're like, wait, he's not 5-star?
Do you think Kentucky fans are super pumped about this news? They're like, oh yeah, this is what we do. Okay, they're used to this.
How many of these do we have?
They're swimming in 5- and 4-star recruits on an annual basis.
But also the narrative was that was kind of the issue. You weren't old enough. Well, now you've got an older guy.
So now the maturity
now he's 20-ish.
is going to benefit Kentucky. Oh, the mature players, the return missionaries. Good for Kentucky.
I thought that was our advantage.
This hurts because, yes, he is unique to a place like BYU,
awesome.
and he's just another really good basketball player at Kentucky.
Yeah.
He's now no longer the big fish.
Yep.
He's just another
great
fish.
movie, by the way.
Yeah. And I know BYU fans are bent out of shape about Mark Pope, and it gets worse and worse and worse as players go into the portal, and Collin Chandler's now going to Kentucky. But we all know that Mark Pope is an ambitious dude. BYU was a rung on a ladder where you are embraced for a moment, and it feels good, right? But you're using that embrace to pull yourself up and then step on the rung. This is what happens when you encounter an ambitious, charismatic guy like Mark Pope. He got his dream. So, frankly, do yourselves a favor and just cut the emotional ties with Coach Pope, because that goodbye, it's not going to come. It's not going to happen, and Collin Chandler is going to Kentucky. So now, to your point, Jarom, as I was joking in the beginning of the show, oh, the house is burning down. I don't really feel that way. I'm with you. Let's see.
It felt like it this morning, though, with Collin leaving.
In the moment, it's gut punch is an accurate way to explain that, where it's just like you feel sick for a moment. But then you consider the bigger picture, which now includes
Which is the plan of salvation. Oh, wait.
Of BYU basketball. How to
save the program.
BYU basketball.
Yeah.
And maybe we find that in
a key figure in this is missing.
In whoever BYU is going to hire as their next head coach, which has several moving parts. I know, it stinks that Mark Pope is gone and Collin Chandler is gone with him and Dallin Hall's in the portal. And apparently things aren't great there.
And Richie and Ali.
It's not great with what we have learned and the facts that are out there, but what is to be determined could be the salvation that all BYU fans are hoping for. And just maybe, Jarom, as we push into topic 2 and center on the coaching search, we will find some healing balm for BYU fans.
Real quick, this is all Jack Golke's fault of Oakland. If he doesn't make 10 threes against Kentucky and Kentucky loses.
Is John Calipari leaving Kentucky if they beat Oakland?
Calipari might still be there. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they'd still be disappointed with the 1 win and done. But it's Jack Golke's fault.
Or if Kentucky gets to a Sweet 16.
That all this had happened.
Yeah.
Topic 2.
Yeah, 1 win, by the way, for Kentucky in the last 3 years in the tournament. They lost to St. Peter's 3 years ago in the 2-15 matchup. They won 1 game the next year, lost in the round of 32, and then lost to a 14 seed this year. Goodbye, Calipari. Hello, Mark.
Blame the Apostle Peter and Jack Golke. Okay, topic 2. His name's been out there as a guy who's been in the hunt for the men's basketball head coaching job. Now it's gaining some real steam this morning. Not just steam that he's in the hunt. Maybe that he's being hired.
Are you talking about Chris Burgess,
Spencer?
Jarom?
I'm talking about Kevin Young.
Oh.
The Phoenix Suns associate head coach, who is the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA as of last June, was a finalist for the Nets job. Woj last night didn't get that job. Maybe in the mix for the Hornets still. But what's your reaction to these rumblings, which, as of this morning on our call, Spencer, were that he's more in the mix than we thought? And then there are people saying that he is going to be the next head coach at BYU, that it is pending Board of Trustees approval, Spencer.
This is unbelievable, and this has Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith written all over it.
Yes, it does.
Because of their NBA ties. When I first heard yesterday, and I immediately texted you when I heard, I was like, okay. So I'm hearing about this wild card thing.
And I was like, and I'm hearing the same thing.
And you gave me the appropriate response, which was, he's a finalist for the Nets job.
Like, wait a minute.
That would be wild. And I'm like, I know, this is crazy.
I got to check something.
Because he's so high profile. He's the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA. So, yeah, my initial reaction was, pipe dream. That would be awesome,
right. A
but
guy that's
pipe dream.
Almost an NBA head coach somewhere?
He might be the Nets coach. He might be the Hornets coach. No way. But, my goodness, situations arise and connections are in play with guys like Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith. If they could usher in something like this, then it gets very, very interesting for a guy who's not been in the college game, but he's still young. I mean, he's my age.
42.
He's 42 years old.
Yeah.
Coming from...
you're 34.
Well, let's just go with that one, okay? He's coming from a scenario where he's dealing with the best players in the world in the NBA, so he knows obviously what high-level talent is. With that eye and with his experiences, how does that fit into the college game with name, image, likeness at a place that is so unique like BYU? So at first it was pipe dream, but now it's like, if he is the guy.
Is it a pipe dream because of Ryan Smith and Danny Ainge?
Not now.
You know what I mean?
Not now.
Those guys are so connected, Spence, with the NBA circles. By the way, is Ryan Smith trying to bring everything from Arizona to BYU potentially?
The Coyotes, now Kevin Young.
Kevin Young potentially. This is very interesting. First off, last name Young totally fits in here, right? Former Utah Valley assistant, former Utah Flash assistant. He's been in the Valley. He's been in the bubble here. He knows what's up. He's certainly been in the NBA with the Sixers and Suns for the last 8 or 9 years now. That is great experience. His LinkedIn looks great, Spence. But he'd need to have a really nice coaching staff to retain and continue to cultivate recruits in Utah.
Who does he bring in?
I would love if somehow Chris Burgess was still on the staff. But if you're Burgess and you don't get the head coaching job, if it is Kevin Young, would you want to be an assistant on the staff? Now, maybe if BYU doubles the salary, you come back as an assistant. I don't know. But I'm interested in seeing this. Kevin Young would be a pipe dream, but it actually might become a reality. Some people think this is almost done.
No, we have to be aware of the fact that a guy like Kevin Young, because he is in these conversations to become a potential head coach in the NBA, that's not going away. There could be an opportunity that arises in 3 years in the NBA or in the moment, like this year.
Hornets is still open.
Okay?
Yeah.
So maybe he said no to the Hornets, or maybe the Hornets said no to him. But, like, when you are that level, those opportunities in the NBA are going to continue to come up.
And you may be, for lack of a better phrase, Mark Pope again, potentially. Who knows? If you hired Chris Burgess, would he want the Utah job if it opened up in a few years? Who knows? Welcome to the business of athletics.
Where 5 years is a long time to stay in one place.
It is not the bishop in your ward giving an outgoing talk saying, thank you so much, I love all of you, I'll see you around. It is not that, per se. Lavelle turned down the Lions job. Lavelle turned down other jobs, stayed here forever. It's not like that for everybody. Dave Rose was here for a long time, then he retired. Not everyone sees this place as the end game, okay? We have to sort of open our minds to that. Is that disappointing? Is that sad? Is that different? Sure, yes. But tell me this. Is Kevin Young the best candidate for the job for BYU?
Well, when I first heard his name, again, because I just thought, it's such a different level. Like, he's in a different universe, in a different stratosphere.
Literally. Dealing with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal every day.
It just didn't compute. Yeah. Like, now, it would take something extraordinary, and that extraordinary is Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith.
BYU is connected at the NBA level like few programs are, in terms of having an owner, governor they say now, and the essentially the president of the team connected to your program in a unique way. BYU's got amazing connections in this way. So it is more of a reality than you think. And we're hearing there are rumblings, some of which we're being texted, some of which are being said on the radio. Patrick Kinahan saying this morning that BYU administration was in Phoenix yesterday. Coup Connect is putting out there that, hey, flight tracker, that plane that went out of Provo to Phoenix is coming back to Salt Lake. Does that mean he's getting the general authority interview? Who knows exactly? We're not reporting this, just telling you what we're hearing. But it might be Kevin Young, for all we know, in the next day or two, which BYU Spence has to get this done ASAP. They have to get this done as soon as humanly possible this week to retain current players, to get new players, to capture momentum, excitement, sell tickets, but get that roster in place. And then you go into the Big 12 with maybe some semblance of what you had last year. No Collin, TBD Isaac Davis, but BYU could be the team that we hope they are in some way if they can get this done in the next couple days. And can Kevin Young be the guy, if he's the guy, to retain those? And who are the assistants? And what does that look like? There's still work to be done here, even if it is Kevin Young.
I'm receiving messages, multiple in the last 60 seconds, with the words, done deal. Okay? So it's unofficial. It's unofficial. We don't know, but it's obviously very far down the path with it. And it has happened so fast because when I woke up on Monday morning, like, the narrative was very different. It was, man, Chris Burgess has put together a really impressive profile. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy, and he brings in maybe an associate head coach like Nick Robinson or Barrett Peary. Like, all of that was floating around there. And this is not saying that it wasn't out there. Like, that message was out there. But when you bring in Ryan Smith and Danny Ainge, and like, oh, let's go, let's be ambitious and let's go down to Phoenix and have a conversation. Things can change very, very fast.
And it's wild that a guy like Kevin Young, who is almost an NBA head coach type, right? He could wait another year and be that guy. And like you said, maybe that's in the future. Who knows? Would it be the worst thing in the world if the BYU head coach went to like an NBA head coach? Like, we'd be proud of that, would we not?
For sure.
We're proud of Mark.
It'd be like Fred Hoiberg.
But right. Iowa State to the Bulls. But we also want kind of a, hey, thanks, guys. Like, where's that? It hasn't happened. We love Mark, but sort of there's a missing element there, I think, for Cougar Nation at the moment. It'd be wild if BYU got a guy that was almost an NBA head coach. That'd be wild.
Man.
And when this initially started, Kevin Young was not one of the kind of the top three, but now we're getting messages that, hey, he might be the guy.
Yeah,
like,
and again,
this may be going down.
To clarify, this is all unofficial. I mean, we cannot make an official statement.
Official.
Cannot make an official statement until BYU releases, says, okay, this is the new head coach. But
can BYU Sports Nation just make its own statements?
The evidence is overwhelming that this is basically done.
Wow.
How fast did that happen? It's just
faster than I thought. Mark Pope took several weeks to get hired.
Yes, Jeff Call,
after Dave Rose,
our friend from the Deseret News, wrote an article on just how difficult it is to get hired to be the head coach at BYU and how much red tape you got to go through and how many interviews and like how slow the process can be.
Private planes and internet are awesome.
But listen,
let me tell you.
In this day and age, when BYU is in the Big 12 now, different ball game, and when you see players at the caliber of Dallin Hall and Ali Khalifa and Richie Saunders all enter the portal immediately after Mark Pope goes to Kentucky, and then Collin Chandler is going to Kentucky, yeah, it's going to expedite some things. So it's unprecedented for a place like BYU, but these are unprecedented times and measures.
Amen. I'm excited, proud. Let's go. If Kevin Young's the guy, let's go.
Wow.